welcome back everyone. Here it is, the play-by-play commentary of finals at the Gamers Alley Digimon Local Tournament. This time, I'll be facing off against BT7 Lordknightmon. Lordknightmon has always been a dominant face in yellow ever since his appearance in BT5. In a game where you manage your resources, memory is very important, and Lordknightmon being able to play a card for free is always something to watch out for. So, without further ado, let's see how well I can keep up with BeelStarmon. Security cards are set, hands are drawn, and the game can begin. I'll be taking the first turn with a Pagumon hatch and Digivolve into the BT2 Impmon. I then end my turn with a hard play on the Aizmon scatter mode, really looking to start my milling process as soon as possible. Opponent now takes their first turn with a Pikmon hatched and raising, which soon after becomes a Bushi Agumon. Takes the time to review his hand and decides the best course of action is to play the BT3 Angelomon. Not a bad play, seeing as I did start them at 4 memory. Now with the potential source for their Lordknightmon to Digivolve from, I'll need to hurry and try to delete her before it's too late. I promote the Impmon to attempt to check at security, triggering Pagumon's skill to trash the top card of my deck, which sent Transcendent Sword into the trash. Successfully crashed into the Lordknightmon, and now I'll be sending 3 more cards into trash. To my dismay, I ended up losing both copies of my Mimi Tachikawa. Next up, Aizmon Scatter Mode. Crashes into the Kazuchimon, draw my 3 cards via effect and trash a Gigastorm and a Jewalt Schwarmer to resolve. I then pass the turn by setting up my Mat Ashita and returning the Impmon back to my hand. Bushi Agumon now comes into the battlefield. Opponent then digivolves the Angelomon into the Kazuchimon for 5 memory. And of course I end up misplaying it. After hatching into the Demi-Maramon and digivolving into the Impmon, I decided to play the BeelStarmon for 9 memory. Now, in my head, I knew I couldn't delete the Kazuchimon, seeing as I have no actual means to do so, so I go for the Bushi Agumon and ended up retrieving the Transcendent Sword by mistake when I obviously should have grabbed the Jewalt Schwarmer. I do end up bringing this up to my opponent during my next turn since I realized the mistake I made, but it really didn't affect the remainder of this game since it would have caused the same result in the end. Hatches another Pikmon and goes into the Cupemon. Afterwards, go for the security check with Kazuchimon. On the attack, Angelomon's skill allows them to play the Lucamon from hand, triggering a security recovery. First security clears, but the second will trigger the Fly Bullet, which will delete the Kazuchimon. With 6 memory remaining, opponent then digivolves into the Lucamon Chaos mode for 7 and deletes my Mat Ashita Tamer with its effect, taking my turn by promoting the Impmon up once more for another attempt at security. Successful deletion. I resolve Demi-Maramon's effect first by drawing and discarding a Fly Bullet, and Impmon's effect trashes a BeelStarmon, Gabumon, and Aizmon Scatter Mode. Another check with BeelStarmon and triggering that Spiral Masquerade. Not a big deal, as it only reduces my DP to 8,000 for the turn. Next, I go ahead and do one of my favorite combos with this deck, calling from the darkness to delete my BeelStarmon, retrieve back 2 from my trash, and play BeelStarmon once more for 7 memory this time. I retrieve the Fly Bullet in order to delete the Lucamon Chaos mode. And as I mentioned earlier, here I am mentioning the misplay from my previous turn and explaining how I should have played the Jewel Schwarmer instead of the Transcendent Sword. Same result would have occurred regardless, and my opponent understood that. So far, been doing a relatively good job keeping board control by deleting Digimon. Promotes the Cutemon and checks a security card. Triggers a Calling from the Darkness, which will add itself to my hand. Next goes and plays the Bushi Agumon for 5 memory and attacks security, crashing into the Eismon scatter mode. Ends the turn with a Starmons. Technically reduces my BeelStarmon's DP, but doesn't matter since the reduction only lasts till the end of my opponent's turn. Hatch a Demi-Meramon and go into the Gazimon. Seeing as how I'm dangerously low in security cards, I need to delete both Digimon on my opponent's side in order to stay in the game. I attack into the suspended Cutemon with BeelStarmon. Next, I set up a Tai Kamiya in order to have my red source. And finally, end the turn with a Deathclaw. I delete my BeelStarmon in order to delete Starmons. My opponent now has an empty board and starting their turn with just 1 memory. I really don't have much to worry about this turn. Hatches into the Pikmon and Digivolves into the Starmons. Plays the Mimicmon for 4 memory, but since only 2 security cards remained on their side, they'll be gaining back 2, which results in me starting my turn at 1. I then promote the Gazimon in. And play another BeelStarmon for 6 memory. Trigger the on-play effect and grab the Fly Bullet and cast it in order to delete the Mimicmon. Opponent takes their turn, promotes the Starmons. And here comes the Knightmon for 7 memory. Triggers the on-play effect to reduce Gazimon's DP by 4,000, resulting in its deletion. I go ahead and resolve Demi-Meramon's effect to draw and discard a Goblimon. Back onto me, hatch into another Demi-Meramon and Digivolve into a Goblimon. Check security with BeelStarmon and trigger a yellow memory boost. How convenient. And it happens as soon as I lose my Gazimon. Once again, I need to take out both Digimon on my opponent's side in order to survive. I play the Calling from the Darkness in order to delete BeelStarmon and return back the Gazimon. Decided not to bring back a BeelStarmon as I already had another one in hand to play, and the less I can play it for, the better. So keeping her in trash is much more beneficial for me at the moment. BeelStarmon comes in, guns blazing, and I'll be playing a Jewel Schwarmer this time, which will delete both the Knightmon and Starmons due to their play cost being 7 and below. I now have a chance at winning next turn as I have a Digimon ready and raising as well as the BeelStarmon already in play. Opponent hatches a Upamon this time, Digivolves into a Cutemon and further into the Pitomon. Goes and pops that memory boost and plays the Lucemon in order to recover a security card. Great play and possibly the only good move in a situation like this. Now I can't finish the game here this turn. Or so they thought. I just have enough memory in order to Digivolve into the Ogremon. Attack security with Ogremon first, triggering its effect to discard a card to gain an additional security check as well as the 2000 DP boost from Goblimon and Taikamiya's 1000. Clear both remaining security cards with no problems and attack for lethal with BeelStarmon. A very back-to-back first round. It was very close, but I was able to somehow manage. Moving on to our second round of finals, my opponent decides to take the first turn. Starts things off with a Pikmon hatch and goes into the Kotamon and finishes with the 8mon, starting my turn at 2 memory. Demi-Meramon is hatched and raising. I take a brief moment to review my cards in hand and see what the best play would be here, and so I opted to set up both a Taikamiya and the Mimi Tachikawa, each costing 2 memory to play. These two will definitely help me as the game progresses. Opponent proceeds their turn by promoting the 8mon out of raising and into the battle area and attempts their first check at security. Triggers a Fly Bullet, which will result in its deletion. Plays the Gladimon for 4 and triggers its on-play effect to search their security cards in order to retrieve a Warrior or Holy Warrior type Digimon and add it to their hand. Allows them to grab the Lordknightmon and recover a security card. A very brief turn for me as I still had no rookies in hand, so I go ahead and set up an Ogremon for 6 memory. Hate to do it, but sometimes you have to. Opponent hatches a Upamon this time and digivolves into the Kotamon. Digivolves the Gladimon into the BT3 Anjouamon, which will then give my Ogremon a -2 security attack next turn. A very good move and the best counterplay against it. Opponent then ends the turn by going into the Lordknightmon. Still not drawing into a viable level 3 Digimon to play. Lordknightmon can lead to disaster if I leave it unchecked, so I just shoot it with the Fly Bullet, passing the turn over on 5, but I suspend Mimi in response to the option card being played and gain a memory back, so now my opponent will be starting their turn at 4 instead. Starts the turn with the Beetlmon evolution in raising, and sets up the TK Ishida, triggers the effect to search their security stack and retrieves a Bushi Agumon, and since it was a yellow card, this allows them to recover 1 security card. Starting off my turn with such low memory hasn't been fun, and so I go ahead and set up my memory tamer in Matt Ishida. Retrieve a Fly Bullet due to its on-play effect to return a purple Digimon or option card from my trash. Promotes the Beetlmon out and digivolves into the BT3 Anjouamon once again, which will prevent me from taking a swing at their security next turn since Ogremon now has a -2 security attack for the turn again. Plays the Gladimon to search their security cards, but unfortunately did not have any viable targets to retrieve a card. Digivolve the Demi-Meramon into a Goblimon. I then play the Gigastorm for 7, which allows me to delete up to 2 Digimon with 8000 DP or less on my opponent's side. Gladimon and Anjouamon are deleted. It's already mid-game at this point, and I haven't been able to really make any attempts at my opponent's security, so the next best thing is to just mitigate any further damage to my security stack by deleting Digimon off my opponent's side accordingly in order to buy some time and get more board presence for myself. Pikmon hatches in raising and soon becomes a Bushi Agumon. Then goes into the 8mon. Finally finishes up with the Anjouamon. Seeing as I've been constantly deleting Digimon off their board, my opponent takes the caution to simply just continue raising in the breeding area. Knowing what I'm up against, I can't afford to allow the Lordknightmon to hit the field if I can't help it. Back to me, I promote the Goblimon from raising and set up a second copy of Taikamiya for 2 memory. I finally attempt my first check at security this game with Ogremon first, discard a Jolt Schwarmer in order to get 2 checks in total with this attack. First check is revealed and it's a Chaosmon Valderarm. Very unfortunate for me as that will cause my Ogremon to be deleted and the second check will not occur. Original plan was to play Demonic Disaster if Ogremon ended up surviving, but seeing as that's not the case anymore, I end the turn by digivolving Goblimon into an Eismon Scatter Mode. TK resets the memory to 3 and the Anjouamon comes out of raising. A successful Digivolution into the Lordknightmon without passing the turn. This now allows my opponent to attack, which will in turn trigger Lordknightmon's effect. Play the Knightmon for free and deletes the Eismon scatter mode due to the DP reduction effect. Before continuing with the check, I have to resolve Eismon scatter mode's deletion effects. I draw my 3 cards and whoops, cards seems to have stuck themselves together. Let me just draw and put that back. Discard the Happy Bullet Showering and Fly Bullet. Next is Demi-Maramon's deletion. Draw 1 and discard 1. There goes another Fly Bullet into the trash. Security card is revealed, and Fly Bullet again. Have to shoot the Lordknightmon. Not worried about regular old Knightmon here at the moment, since it just came into play and it can't attack this turn. Ends the turn with a Starmons in order to just have the extra body out. Matashita resets my memory to 3. Hatch the Pokemon this time and immediately Digivolve to the Gabumon and further into the Eismon scatter mode. BeelStarmon now takes the field for only 5 memory and starts kicking names and taking ass with the Jawalt Schwarmer. Opponent was not too pleased with that play. I suspend Mimi in response to the option being played to gain back 1 memory, which will in turn ensure my opponent starts with 3 memory instead of the 4. Hatches the Pikmon and goes into the Cutemon. Continues raising in the breeding area by going into a Pedomon and ends with the Angelomon. I finally seem to have caught up, so let's begin the turn by promoting the Eismon scatter mode up and digivolving BeelStarmon into the Omnimon's Wort Defeat. Triggered the evolution effect to delete TK off the field. Omnimon's Wort Defeat checking security at 15,000 DP, clears it with no problems. Next up is Eismon scatter mode, but at 6,000 DP the chances of a deletion is not as guaranteed. Attack and trash the top card of my deck due to Pokemon's effect. Security card is revealed and cleared, it's only a Cutemon. And once again, I end up misplaying here. My dumbass ended up playing the Demonic Disaster with the thought that I'd be able to unsuspend Omnimon's Wort Defeat, but that doesn't work because it needs to be a purple Digimon. Wort Defeat is not a purple Digimon. But what's done is done. At this point, it really doesn't matter what I throw into trash, as I've already gotten a majority of my 7-cost options into the trash pile. After that massive blunder, I end up just playing the Ogremon for 6 memory since I had no other cards to really play. Promotes the Angelomon and digivolves into the Lordknightmon again. Attacks security, triggering quite a few effects. First is Lordknightmon. In order to play a Knightmon from hand due to its attack trigger, Ogremon takes the minus 4,000 DP. Angelomon's effect triggers now, allowing for another level 3 Digimon to be played. Bushi Agumon now hits the field, and now that there are 3 Digimon in total, Pikmon's effect will trigger to deduct an additional 1,000 DP on my Ogremon, resulting in its deletion. Lordknightmon checks security at 13,000 DP. Security card is revealed, and it's an Omnimon's Wort Defeat. Since it was revealed from security, this allows me to play it for free. Bushi Agumon attacks since it does have the rush ability, allowing it to attack the same turn it comes into play. Triggers a Happy Bullet Showering, which will delete it since it's the only lowest DP Digimon my opponent currently controls. Ends the turn with a Kazuchi evolution on top of the Knightmon there in order to recover a security card. My opponent is giving a great showing of resilience. He now has 2 very threatening bodies on board, as well as security lead. I need to play very carefully. One mistake will lose me the game here. I hatch a Demi-Maramonn and soon after turn it into the Gabumon. I attempt a security check with one of the Omnimon's Wort Defeats first. I then take the newly acquired one from the previous security check and attack the Lordknightmon. Set up another copy of Mimi Tachikawa. Still too risky to leave a single Digimon on my opponent's side, and so I play Calling from the Darkness in order to delete my Omnimon's Worth defeat, triggering its deletion effect which allows me to delete a Digimon. This takes care of Kazuchimon. I finish resolving the Calling from the Darkness by returning 2 copies of BeelStarmon back to my hand, and god damn it, I need to stop misplaying like this. I didn't realize I forgot to move the memory counter after playing the Calling from the Darkness, and it ended up resulting in passing the turn over on the wrong amount. I honestly never realized until I reviewed the footage. Looking like a damn dirty cheater over here. Motherfucker.
You're a phony!
Well, not much else to be said since this is basically final turn for both of us. Huge shoutouts to my opponent and personal Digimon buddy, Corey. Really made me work for that victory, even though I unintentionally cheated him out of 1 memory that last turn. Anyway, what did you all think of this final game? Personally, I don't feel as good about it now that I realized I basically made a vast majority of the misplays and made myself look like a damn dirty cheat.
Boo this man!
It was an honest mistake, okay? Anyway, that's all from me. Be sure to check me out over on Twitch where I go live Fridays and Sundays with various Let's Plays and other delicious content for your enjoyment. I'm also on Twitter and Instagram and all that social media mumbo jumbo, so feel free to follow me there too for updates on what I do and stuff like that. Also, before I end things here, do check out my opponent's lovely Digimon card game merch over at emergevictorious.bigcartel.com. Link will be in the description below. Amazing artist with custom printed playmats for the Digimon card game with his own original artworks, showcasing some of your favorites, like this one, filled with all of your Sistermon needs. I'm looking at you, Jessmon players. Grab them while you can. Anyways, I'll catch you all at the next Digimon Local Tournament, so until next time, you all be well, be safe, and as always, be hungry for more. Have a wonderful rest of your day.